Hello and welcome back to Healing Conversations with Coach Vee. I am Coach Vee, certified life coach and personal growth expert with SVM Initiatives, LLC. Today I have as my guest Miss Stephanie Miku, founder of Caged Bird Ministries. She's here today to share with us her story of struggle, triumph, and the steps that she took to heal. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vee, for this wonderful opportunity.
Oh, no worries. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
My
thank
pleasure.
you for coming. So, first, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from the city, or?
I'm not. I relocated to Cincinnati 4 years ago. I actually was sent here to carry out my prison sentence in a halfway house here. I did the last 4 months here, and I got a job with a great company, and I decided to relocate and start my make a fresh start in a new city.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Natty. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the Natty. We're glad to have you. And as you know, the show Healing Conversations with Coach Vee is specifically about sharing a life challenge that you've had, and then sharing with us the steps that you took to heal. So we know you're not from Cincinnati, but now you're here.
Yes.
So tell us briefly what happened. Like, what challenge did you experience in life?
I just made a long string of bad choices.
Okay.
And it was never would I go to prison? It was when would she?
Okay.
You know, it was just that kind of a cycle, kind of a life that I led. And so, like I've been in and out of institutions since I was 14. And it's just a vicious cycle of drugs and of abuse and violence, you know. And I love that. I love the life I lived for a long time because I made a name for myself in that life, and so that was my badge of honor, and that is what I carried because that's all I wanted to, that's all I had.
Right.
And so it just led me in and out of prison and just in and out of bad situations. And so the last time I was just broken enough and tired enough and just ready for something more.
Okay. So you made a real honest statement just now. You said that it wasn't if you're going to prison, it was when.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very honest statement because I think a lot of times people, because we've all had experiences where we make a string of bad choices, but during those bad choices, a lot of times we think we're invisible. We're not going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just do this one more time, or let me just do this. Don't nobody see me. Nobody going to tell. But you took an approach like, no, it was when. It was when. So with you having that knowledge per se, briefly, what made you continue to make those choices that you made outside of wanting to build, keep that reputation that you built? Yeah.
Well, and two, let me just clarify too, that reputation quickly turned because when you live that life in the street and you're in the streets, at some point what you love you'll end up hating. True. And then what you hate, you'll come to most love.
Yes. You dropping jewels early in the interview. Okay.
And so I had drugged myself through the dirt for so long and dealt myself from the bottom of the deck for so long that it became comfortable. It became normal. And I was so broken and so violent. I was just so hurt and broken inside that I abused everyone in my life.
Yes.
And that's the only way I knew how to be. And everything I did, I pushed to the limit. There was no half-stepping. There was no, I'm just going to dibble-dabble.
Yes.
It was, hey, if I'm going to be bad, then I'm going to be the baddest.
Yes.
If I'm going to be a drug addict, then I'm going to get the highest.
Yes.
If I'm going to sell drugs, I'm going to, make moves that I know are careless and reckless.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
And so it was always just even as a small child, knowing that it would probably just happen.
Okay. Did you come from an environment that probably was conducive to that, or did you just took your own path and went down this road?
I was always taught right and wrong, but I was not always shown right and wrong.
Understood.
And so what I would emulate what was happening in my household, I would get in trouble for that because I knew better verbally.
Right.
But I witnessed life, drug dealing, boosting, that type thing. And so once I found, and I lived in a violent home, but I always felt loved, always. But it was just a volatile home. And when I found out I could fight, and that I was good at it, and it earned me a reputation, then I just fought the good fight for a long time.
So some of you both came from that generation of do what I say, not as I do.
Right.
And then we get in trouble because we doing what we saw.
Yeah.
I get that. So you mentioned too that there was just a point where it was like, okay, enough. Tell us about that point.
Well, I was 38. I was in prison.
Okay.
Again.
Okay.
You know, I knew how to do time, so doing time wasn't the issue.
Okay.
And I think that, and I had good enablers, my mom being the best. Yeah. And I always kept, some friends that would always help me out throughout my stay and things like that. But I inside did not want to be that person anymore. And I wanted people to like me, not fear me.
Yes.
And I did not know how to be any other way. And I got in a fight in there. I got maced. I got put in the hole. I got a bad infection, MRSA in my right eye. I was treated less than human. All those elements of the perfect storm to bring me right to the right level of brokenness to where I would cry out to someone to help me. And that I just started asking for a Bible while I was in the hole.
While you were in the hole. Okay.
Just please bring me a Bible every day. Please bring me a Bible. Please bring me. And finally someone brought me a Bible. And I just opened up and started reading the New Testament, and I started having this overwhelming desire to write. And so I begged for a pencil, because there you have to turn a pencil in to get a pencil, and I didn't have a pencil to turn in.
Wow.
So finally someone was able to kick one out the door, and I was able to kick it down the hallway. And the officer said, "You guys are scavengers." And I took that little golf pencil about that big, and I went in that room, and this scavenger wrote some of the most beautiful poetry.
Now, were you still in the hole doing
I was still in the
this?
hole. My first poem I wrote in the hole was called "The Whole Truth."
Really?
Yes.
Play on words there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And what was that about, the poem?
That was about, I could give you a little bit of it.
Go ahead, bust some lines. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Perched up high in this cage, I see above the razor wire. No fresh breaths and only baby steps from the freedom that I desire. To spread my wings, to fly away, 'tis only but a dream. To reach within and become my own friend is my reality, or so it seems.
In case y'all didn't know, this is Stephanie Miku. In case y'all didn't know. So, help me understand, break that down for me. What were you going through? What does that poem mean?
I didn't know at the time what it meant.
Okay.
And a lot of them, I ended up creating like 60 poems and wrote countless journal entries. And I did not at that time, because I had no spiritual mentoring, know what was happening. I just knew that it was flowing.
It was a transformation going on.
Honey, and it was, and so I did a lot of reading, and there was a lady in there that would she was my angel, and I never knew her real name, but I'd come home from school, and she would have books, these spiritual books, and just different things, like you gotta read this, you gotta read this. But it was after I got out and received guidance and spiritual mentoring that I was able to look back in those writings and find the buried treasures.
Yes, I'm about to start waving my imaginary hanky today. So what was the buried treasure? Because now I've got all curious questions. What was the buried treasure that you found in that first poem you wrote in the hole?
What was the ending part? It said, I heard the God's voice. And he said, "My child, I will restore all that Satan has stole from you. And in this hole, I will make you whole. Yeah. You'll fly away with a heart of
goosebumps. Yes. So from that poem there, what happened after that?
I just, I calmed down a lot.
Okay.
I started a web design class, and so I had something to lose. I was good at something, and I just calmed down, and I just started going to church, and I started I just started a spiritual journey. I don't really know anything about religion, still don't, but I know I have a wonderful relationship with someone who came and touched my heart and changed my life.
Yes, and who might that be?
That is the one and only.
Yes.
God, and my love for Jesus.
Yes. Okay. So when you started to you said it was later that you realized, you went back into your writings and saw exactly what the jewels were and the meanings were. So before we got to that point in life, I'm hoping at some point you got out of the hole.
Yes.
Okay.
I was in and out, and I think I went back one or two more times. But I was still working out the kinks. I mean, and still am.
Understood.
You know, but that part of me, that broken part of me is gone. I don't even get that mad anymore. And
well, good. That's
I
a
used
sign
to
of
wonder,
healing.
yes, and I used to wonder where that went because I was afraid because I thought it's in there somewhere. So I would stay on my bunk for like the last year. I went to school. I stayed away from people. I stayed on my bunk. I read because I was afraid of myself. I was afraid of being provoked, and so I said, let me just. But I was really healing and didn't know it.
Understood. So what was the next thing you wrote?
After that, I just started journaling and writing more poems. Off the top of my head, I can't remember in what order, but I put them all together. What I did notice in May 17th, which was 3 days before I was sent to the halfway house here.
Okay.
I journaled about Ezekiel 37, the Valley of Dry Bones, and it was God showed me that Marysville was the Valley of Dry Bones.
Okay.
And that I was to return there and I was to prophesy to the bones and breathe life into them.
Okay.
And so that. In those writings, I found that God revealed His purpose for my life.
Yes. And you were open to receive that.
Absolutely.
Because oftentimes we get messages and signs and dreams and signals, but sometimes we say, no, I'm not ready. Or we kind of run from it. But you apparently was ready. Like, okay, I hear you. Now, did it take a couple messages or you took off?
Well, at that time, I didn't know what I was writing.
Okay.
It wasn't until about 2 years later that it clicked when I went back. And I thought, there it is. You see? And then it started the journey that I'm on now.
Okay.
To get back into prison, which actually I do go volunteer with 4-7 Prison Ministry.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's just a way to get me in, get me comfortable, and prepared for what I am trying to do on my own.
Okay. So is it safe to say that part of your healing journey was through your writing and your journaling?
Absolutely.
Was there another part of your healing journey that developed from those writings?
Well, I think another one was I ran a half marathon while I was in prison.
Okay.
And it was like I ran for a race of freedom, and I took 13 things that were hindering my life. And each mile that I completed, I laid one behind me.
Okay.
So when I crossed the finish line to that race, that part of me was finished, and it was actually running towards something rather than away from something like I'd done my whole life.
I think that, is that an exercise you thought to do on your own, or did you read about that, or did a higher source suggest that to you to leave one of those 13 things at every mile?
It had to be. At the time, I journaled about it. I wrote a poem, 13.1 Miles to Freedom.
Okay.
I journaled about that, and I wrote the 13 things. And so I never really shared that with anybody.
Okay.
It was just in my journal until I started pursuing my purpose once I got out.
Okay. I asked that because that's one of the techniques, not specifically with running 13-mile marathon, but that's one of the techniques that I use with my clients, one of the releasing techniques. You know, something that you're ready to move forward from, write it down. Depending on the severity of the issue, I either have them bury it or we burn it, but it's just a form to tell your subconscious, I'm finished with this. It's just a physical movement to tell yourself, I'm done, I'm laying this here. So kudos to you for doing that and incorporating that into your marathon. Cool beans. So what is it that you are working on now? What's your baby now that I just see that puts fire in your eyes? That is the whole culmination of your healing journey. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'm the founder of Caged Bird Ministries.
Yes, you are.
And so I completed an entrepreneurship program here in Cincinnati called Mortar.
Yes, we know Mortar.
Shout out to
We know Mortar.
We are Mortar, yes. And it really propelled me forward in my pursuit of starting my own nonprofit and publishing the book. I took the journal entries and the poems and I put them together in a book, in a journal style book to give to inmates for free and also to sell. It's called The Songs of a Caged Bird.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say that. And I am, just doing the footwork. I've got my bylaws turned in. I'm having them being reviewed. I'm taking the steps to get this started.
Serious business.
Serious business, yes.
So tell us exactly, for those who may not know, what exactly is Caged Bird Ministries?
Caged Bird Ministries is a nonprofit organization Caged Bird Ministries is unlike most prison ministries, whereas we will just go into one institution and we will teach on one topic, how God shows us our purpose that he has for our life, and help you polish your gifts and talents to use them to go towards that purpose.
Right.
Just to get, people, when they get out or when they're incarcerated, they focus on the survival. I've got to get a job.
Right.
I've got to get this. And yes, you do.
Those basic needs. Yes.
Yes. And thank God for people that have a heart for the community of people or ex-offenders or people who have gotten out, that we're able to get more jobs now and we're able to do more. But I want to dig deeper. Like, there is something that you were created to be.
Absolutely. Everyone has a purpose.
You have a purpose.
Yes.
And it's buried inside of you.
Yes.
And since I was shown my purpose while I was in captivity, I know I could not be the only one. There's got to be more people in there. So I'm going to go back in there and help people discover. Because I know that once these people, these individuals experience the hope and the wholeness that comes from falling in line with the purpose for their life, they won't return to exile.
Yes.
My life is living proof.
I agree with that. I think that once we, as a people whole, find out what we were placed here to do, it eliminates all those other distractions, whether it's incarceration, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's overeating.
Right.
Once we're focused and we have a purpose, it's like we put blinders on. And nothing that's in line with that purpose can distract us. So I think that's a very powerful statement that you just made that I want everyone to just let that sink in for a moment and just resonate with that. Find your purpose. It's important. And then sometimes we miss it.
Yeah.
So then we need people like you to come and just say, here, it could be A, B, C, D, and E. Just kind of give some sort of direction or some sort of coaching to find what that is. So with your Caged Bird Ministries, how is it exactly that you either currently do or plan on going back and giving back to help inmates find their purpose and hopefully not return to incarceration?
Well, my vision is to go in and have a weekly class for maybe a 6-week class, kind of put names in a lottery because I believe everything falls into divine order. Okay. Yeah. I want to definitely in each class include lifers, the people, at least 2 or 3 in each class. Okay. They're going to be small, intimate classes. I want to include them because I think they feel like people that maybe may never be getting out of prison feel that they no longer have a purpose. Right. But they do, because they are in there and they would be able to help reshape and help encourage the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, the aunts that are going in there. That's a heavy responsibility. And they're definitely still have a purpose and can still serve and live a fulfilled life. But we'll just go in there and we'll teach on purpose. We'll teach on the Holy Spirit and how it uses your gifts and talents, shows you your gifts and talents to get you to your purpose. And
I still see the fire in your eyes when you talk about this. This is just beautiful. I think that there is such a need for this type of service. Because unfortunately there are a lot of people who, quote unquote, don't know what else to do. So they repeat those same behaviors to go back in a place they really didn't want to be in the first place, but that's all they know. So a lot of times when different organizations go in who haven't been on the other side of the bars, the inmates aren't as receptive because you ain't never been in here, so you don't know.
Precisely.
Exactly. So you coming from a standpoint of what I call a shared lived experience, I think that would help inmates to be more receptive and to listen and say, okay, Stephanie, I'm going to try it your way. Do you kind of feel the same way, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, I absolutely do. And I also, would not be going in there and just sharing my successes. I would go in there and show them my beautiful scars.
Yes.
Because their wounds are still open.
Right.
Or barely healed. And so I would go, that's what they would identify with me. They don't know about successes. Yes. They don't know about achievements. They can't relate to Steph with that. Right. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to show you my brokenness. And I'm going to show you where I was at. And I'm going to keep it 100 about everything I did.
Yes.
And then we're going to rebuild from there. I'm going to get that connection. And once there's that connection, then there's trust.
Exactly.
And then there's curiosity. And then there's like, well, if she could do it, I could do it. And I think, it's about empowering, encouraging, and equipping these women and men too eventually, but right now I'm going to focus on women.
On the ladies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and just getting them, excited about a life.
Yes.
A life. I thought having a job and going to work every day, I thought that, that was for suckers. I thought that was just, okay, yeah, right. But I am living the dream.
Yes.
I'm a supervisor at a factory. And which I never thought. I was a self-proclaimed diva. I would have never thought that I would be in a factory, but God led me there to a wonderful company.
Yes.
Nehemiah Manufacturing,
yes.
a second chance hiring company, and I'm there and I'm just living the dream one mistake at a time.
So now you're just the diva of the factory. That's all. You
Same.
still the diva. You still the diva. So how has what you're doing helped you heal? I know you want to give back and help others heal, but how is it still helping you heal?
It's still helping me heal in the fact that I there's still a lot in me that's wounded. There's deep wounds in there, and some that I still am not ready to deal with yet. So when that shows up and I'm ready to give up, and I say, no, look how far you've come. Look at this dream that you have living and breathing inside of you.
Yes.
And I can't get too far away from it.
Yes. See, I'm gonna add founder of Caged Bird Ministries, life coach, minister, because you speaking volumes today. You're speaking volumes today, and I can just feel and hear the passion in your words. And I know I keep joking with you about the sparkle I see in your eyes too when you speak, but that's real. And I think that a lot of times when you go back and present in that manner, you're going to convert a lot of people to say, hold on, well, maybe if she did it, then I can do that too. And just lay out the groundwork for them to follow. With all that being said, and since you're still on your healing journey, do you think that journaling will still be a process you use to heal the wounds that you say you still have? There's more poems coming and more writings coming out of Stephanie?
And that's funny because sometimes it's hard for me to write. It's hard for me to find words. It's hard for me to draw inspiration. Once I started Mortar and got around these smart, creative people, it awakened something inside of me. And so again, I started the process over. But yes, words, I love words. I love using them. They flow out of me like a river. And so that is how I heal. That's how I share. And that's how I'm going to eventually be able to help others heal.
Good. Well, for those of us who like to read, such as myself, I'm going to need you to make sure I stay in the loop about when this book is coming out. And even too, you can, once it's out, we can come back and talk more about the book and more about your Caged Bird Ministries. If there's anyone that's watching that would like to either assist you in your journey or be a part of the services, how could they reach you?
Right now they can reach me by email. It's SMIKU, that's SMIKU, Caged Bird Ministries at yahoo.com.
Okay. I might want to say that one more time.
SMIKU.
SMIKU, yes.
SMIKU, Caged Bird Ministries at yahoo.com.
Very good. So are there opportunities for people to help you with this ministry?
Well, right now I'm in the process of being branded, so my website will be up soon. And we'll have links where you can help donate, either to help get the book published or just help to get the ministry started.
Okay, cool. So again, these are things we're going to just put on a list for you to come back and
absolutely,
and share with us when you get those milestones reached, because I just really think this is a very, very important topic, and not all of us have the knowledge of being on the other side to go back and help. But this is one of the things that I'm even interested in assisting you with, in the future. So we'll have to make sure we stay in touch about that. If there is something that you could encourage, whether it is a present inmate or not, if there's a thought or a couple sentences that you could say to them to give them hope, to give them encouragement, what would you tell them?
Just never give up. Believe in yourself and never give up. Every time you fall, rise again. He'll give you beauty for your ashes.
Look at you. You said you love words and putting them together and saying stuff and just very, very poetic. Very poetic. I'm taking mental notes. Thank you. Well, one of the things that I do want to give you complete gratitude for is not being an individual who said, okay, I did what I had to do. I've paid my debt to society. Now I'm going to just keep it pushing. So I commend you for wanting to go back, for making moves, for making strides, for building a platform around it, an official platform around it, to go back and give back, and not just at one location, but having a vision to spread the services and spread the help out everywhere. Yes. Like you said, to mothers, to daughters, to people who have life terms, to people who have 30 days, and everyone in between will definitely need that type of help, that type of direction, that type of guidance. So I'm sure that it will not be an easy road, but I'm confident that you have inside of you, like you shared with us, that little push to remind you can't give up. I have to continue to press forward, because unfortunately, there's always going to be people cycling through that system. So you can't give up. And I want to encourage you not to give up. Even on those days, it's going to be a little challenging. Remember those things that you remember. Remember who you are and of whose you are and where your strength comes from, and continue to press forward. And I might be there to help you sometime.
I appreciate it.
Well,
thank you.
One of the things I like to give my guests for sharing with us their time, for sharing with us their story, for sharing with us their healing journey is a token of my appreciation. So again, keep it in mind that the show is called Healing Conversations with Coach Vee. I want to bless you with a wristband of that same title, just to show that you came onto the show and shared your journey. And gave us a tidbit of wisdom and some things to do and find out, and share with others about the program and your program as well as my program, right? So thank you again, Stephanie Miku, founder of Caged Bird Ministries, for coming on today and sharing with us her life struggle as well as her healing journey. So this concludes this episode of Healing Conversations with Coach Vee. Again, I am Coach Vee, certified life coach and personal growth expert with SVM Initiatives, LLC. We'll see you next time.